All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Lifelong Connect podcast. Just a quick match reaction today. Chelsea, Arsenal, Carabao Cup semi-finals, first leg. All right, so in the first half, on in the fourth minute, Gyökeres needs to. There was a ball that was put through to him, and he has to show more intensity to get to the ball. I feel like he's just very. I don't know if he just doesn't have the pace or if he's just like a lackluster attempt at getting to the ball. But I feel like if he really put more effort into getting to some of these balls, that he might have more of an attempt at goal or even a goal. So he needs to show more intensity, especially in the early minutes of the game, guys, because at that time sometimes players are not properly switched on yet, right? Sometimes players grow into the game, so if you can catch them out early, and he's had opportunities early in multiple games, and he's just very lackluster, and so it amounts to nothing. But yeah, he needs to do a little bit better with those. Um, Set piece FC goal. A good ball, a good corner by Declan Rice for a Ben White header, good header. Um, we're dominating, we basically dominated the entire game, guys. Um, Lots of and we made the game extremely hard for ourselves. But lots of good play, lots of good passing, lots of good individual performances, and also one or two lapses in concentration caused us, primarily at the back, between um, Ben White and Kepa. But we'll go into it. All right, so good high press in the 8th minute. That leads almost leads to a Trossard chance. Um, Good chance by Gyökeres in the 14th minute. I want to see more of that. So what I alluded to first, where I was seeing a lackluster effort from him in this particular opportunity, he basically was from nothing and created a chance for himself. And that's what I want to see. If you don't get the balls that you want, your life is not perfect. If you don't get it the way you want, try to put yourself in different situations. Try to create opportunities for yourself. I remember that first goal that Gyökeres scored for Arsenal, and he literally created that goal from nothing. And that is the kind of attitude that he has to have sometimes when things aren't going his way. And things haven't been going his way. All right, so continue on. So in the 20 in the 22nd minute, Joker is not quick enough to beat defenders when balls are played into space. Yeah, so Saka played a ball into Jokeres, and I just feel like he does not have he might be fast in an inferior league, where there's a lot of slow defenders, but in the Premier League where you have more combative defenders, where defenders are a lot quicker, where the game is a lot quicker, more intense. Gyökeres is not going to just start sprinting past these players. He's not Erling Haaland. He's not going to run past these players. So his teammates need to play the ball into feet and stop playing the ball into space, because he's not in a foot race. He's not beating these players. So they need to play the ball into feet so he can get it and can get a quick let it off quickly, right? Let off the effort and go quickly. So I thought, I mean, and by now Saka should know. Players around him should know. So that's why sometimes I cut him some slack, because I feel like even though a lot of it is on him, a lot of times the players are not. It's like they're not learning his style of play and playing to his strength. They kind of put, yeah, they're not helping him. Um, a great move by Trossard and Timber. A good, good touch and go. Um, so there's a lot of moments that this happened. So there was a moment where we countered, and Odegaard took forever to let the ball go. And the player is running, and he's there and he's calling for the ball, and Odegaard is just toying and toying and toying and toying on the ball. And brother, you have to, when we're countering and we're in good positions to score, because I believe if that ball is let off early, a couple of seconds earlier, that we go in and get that goal, because Trossard, he would score from opportunity like cutting, because he has tons of space. Those are the situations that Trossard excels at. You have to get those balls off early. That's Odegaard. You have to get those balls off early, man. Come on. Um, and then there was a Gyökeres Bosch header. Um, Good square from Odegaard. Saliba lets off a good effort. Close, very unlucky not to score. That was a good one. It reminded me of the first goal that he scored, the first Premier League goal that he scored. In a way, in a way. But it was a really, really, really good attempt. All right. So now in the second half. So a lot happened in the second half, guys. So in the second half of 49 minutes, good persistent play from Saka leads to a goal. Good persistent play against Kukurea. He had Kukurea a little bit worried for majority of the game, I would say. Ben White, ball to Ben White from Saka. Good ball into the box from Ben White, leading to a goal by Gyökeres. And Gyökeres made sure that ball crossed the line. It was kind of hilarious because he like you could see the desperation and the relief when he put that ball over the line. So it almost was on the line and he like literally put up his foot all the way through the ball for it to go over the line. But I'm happy for him though. I'm happy that he was able to get a goal. Um, Lucky goal from when Ganacha came on, he was a substitute in the second half. When Ganacha came on, he Ganacha is generally an annoying person, an annoying player. So you have to always have an eye on him because he's also a good player. He's not a bad player. He's not, a great player, but he's a very good player. But one thing with Garnacho is very persistent, doesn't give up. He's that niggling player. And so you always have to keep an eye on him, and he is very elusive. He finds a way to escape his defenders. It's happened time and time again when he used to play for Manchester United. But anyways, Ben White needed to do better. He was, basically open, and he was able to get off his shot. Um, Lucky goal, I would say lucky goal. I mean, the ball was just kind of just like bouncing around. Nobody really had, command over the ball. The ball was basically just moving around, and it just fall. Luckily for him. All right. Moments of sustained. So after that goal, we sustained a lot of pressure. A couple moments of sustained pressure. By Chelsea and Arsenal. It was very worrying at time, but we came out unscathed. In the 67th minute, we saw Marina Martinelli came on. I was actually calling for the Martinelli substitution to happen. Um, well, I mean, when it happened, probably just moments before. It's not anything significant, but I'm happy that he came on. I would have liked for him to have a greater impact on the game, but you could see him trying to get into the game. Merino definitely got into the game, and I thought that was a good substitution as well. He impacted the game well, especially when he just came on. Couple of good passes, a couple of good link-up plays. That final ball, I think he got an assist for that Zubimendi goal. Um, yeah, so yeah, couple good passes, Marino goal. Marino, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, back at the net. All right, so closing in. So good team play leading to Marina. Effort that was unlucky not to score. Oh my days. It was so unlucky not to score, guys. That was some good play, and that was a very good attempt at goal. 80th minutes, we see the introduction of Havertz and Jesus. We could see that they wanted to put themselves on impose themselves on the game. They were trying. One thing I can say about Arsenal players is that for the most part, when they come on the field, even no matter what situation we find ourselves in, if we're leading by a significant amount, if we're drawing, if we're leading marginally, that players that generally fringe or otherwise, they come on and they try to have a positive impact in the game. They don't just kind of just rest on their laurels and try to see out the game, which is good to see. It shows that hunger and desire, which is important because in some games, those you will get lucky. If you have that attitude, you'll get lucky in games where you need to find that goal if you have that attitude and that level of resilience. Um, so Garnacho and Marta again. I think this is the goal. Okay, so Kepa goes up, and if you're going to go up, you have to get a hand on the ball. You have to fist punch it out of danger. You have to parry the ball behind you. You have to do better. And it was like that game against Portsmouth where he put the plate, like hand the ball right back into the box, into the danger area, and Portsmouth scored from that. You have to learn how to parry the ball. You need to know how to get rid of the ball. If you're going up, you have to go up in a more convincing way. You have to go up in a more you know, you have to go up in a more assured way. You have to get to that ball, and that should always be the mentality. Because once you don't get that ball, if you're up in the air and that ball falls, you don't know where it's falling. And if a player is open, the net is empty, the goal is empty, and you can put yourself in problems. Um, so, and for the last, for the dying moment, Jesus has an opportunity. Jesus has to do better to read the offside. He's perfectly placed to see the offline trap. So he shouldn't be getting caught offside in a situation like that. He should be reading better. He has adequate pace. He doesn't have to go early. And if he did, then that would have been a short penalty, and Arsenal, I mean, there's no saying that we would have scored, but it would have been a good opportunity to get a goal and to put us, increase the margin for the second leg, and possibly would have gone into that second leg 4-2 going into the Emirates. So, overall, we won the game and we move. I'm not going to put too much on this, but we definitely made the game hard for ourselves, guys, and we have to learn to be more focused, more concentrated in these games, to see them out in a more convincing way. Because with the games piling up and with going into the title run, we have some big Champions League games ahead of us too. We can't believe in games for the second leg and have all to play, because that's going to leave us exhausted. When you have all to play, especially when it's a formidable team or a team that is of good quality, like you could do without that. If we saw this game out, if we were more focused in this game, and we went in, 3-1, 4-1 maybe, then in the second leg against up over at the Emirates, we'll be better off. We could, no, I would not say relax, but I would say that we would be a lot more comfortable. But we're possibly going to the second leg now, a little bit more worried, a little bit more pressure. We didn't need that. We don't need that. So we have to be finishing these games in a more assured way. And I'm actually keep saying this every week. Um, you know, but yeah, guys. Anyways, hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, share, turn on those notifications, guys. Thank you for joining me on the next episode of the Lifelong Gonna podcast. Happy New Year as always. I will see you on the next one. Peace and love. And we're out.